Hello and welcome. I'm Annette Reeder from thebiblicalnutritionist.com, and today it's all about answering your questions. And today's questions, in fact, we're just going to focus on one question today because it's very intensive about cancer and how to heal from some of the side effects of cancer. So let's talk about this today. If you would like to have your question answered, please send an email to info@thebiblicalnutritionist.com and just in the subject line say question for Annette. We also take your questions in the Biblical Nutrition Academy Facebook page. So you can enter either way your questions and then we'll add them to this list and I'll start making a video about your question. Now, another reason I like doing these answers to your questions is because I like giving away free product. So because we're talking about cancer and we're going to talk about the microbiome, I wanted to give away the superfood because we need to feed the microbiome what it needs. But when I tell you on a video, you need 7 to 9 cups of vegetables a day, most of you are like, oh, turn that lady off. I can't do that. Well, you can, but sometimes we can use dehydrated foods to get in 1 teaspoon what it would take cups and cups and cups to satisfy with just real food. Even when I dehydrate my own produce from the garden because I can't eat as much as what's coming in, when I dehydrate it, I start with a huge bowl, and then when I dehydrate it, it comes down to a little cup, and then when I powder it, it comes down to a little amount. So when it only takes a little scoop of this to give you all of the nutritional value, which is like broccoli and spinach and beets, which are so important for our diet, the beetroot, and then we also have specific carrots, we've got asparagus, we've got strawberries, we have kale, and these are very specific strains, and also pomegranate. And you know I am a pomegranate lover because it's one of the 7 foods of the Promised Land. So I'm going to be giving this away free to a person who left a review for one of my books on either Amazon or our website, The Biblical Nutritionist. And it's totally free, no shipping or anything on your part. And so stay tuned to the end to see if you are today's winner. So that's what we're going to be giving away. If you say, hey, Annette, I'd like to earn that, well then you need to read one of my books and leave a review. And this is my newest book, 7 Foods of the Promised Land. This is my favorite book of all time that I've written. This is published by Bold Vision Books. The purpose of why I like this is because it's a deep dive into why God chose these 7 foods. And when you understand it and how these 7 foods were so protective of the Israelites physically that they had a lesson for them spiritually. Now, they didn't have the microscopes that we have today to understand why these 7 foods were so beneficial, but God said, just trust me and I want to bless you. But he's saying that to us today too. That's exactly what he's saying to us today. Eat the foods that God created. There's a frog in the background. Eat the foods that God created in the way he just created them. And don't eat those lab experiments. And your body will know the difference. Okay, so let's get to today's question. The question submitted was this. I'm taking aggressive chemotherapy and radiation treatment for my cancer in my rectum. I'm in the 4th week and I have 2 more weeks to go. Unfortunately, they had to stop the treatment because of the side effects from the rectal cancer and from the radiation. The side effects are constant diarrhea, and I'm having all day and all night. I had to come off all of the high protein diet, and now I can only eat rice, white bread, oatmeal, peaches, and pears, and an apple. So no dairy products, and I'm hurting so much. I'm very gassy, as well as I'm up all night and all day. What advice can you give? I'm so tired and depleted. This was submitted by Diana. The answer to this is threefold. Number 1, we have to understand the microbiome. Number 2, it's healing foods. And number 3, it's protection for the body. So let's start with the microbiome. The cancer and the treatment are focused on the main area of the microbiome, and this can be very much detrimental to you. The large intestine, which leads to the rectum. It's being studied that the large intestine and the rectum are key components for the microbiome health. And the treatment is destroying the environment for the healthy bacteria. So in order for the healthy bacteria to thrive, and therefore they aren't getting what they need, they're dying off very quickly. This leads to the diarrhea. Plus the high protein diet that is sometimes recommended does not bring in the healthy bacteria to replenish the dying off because of what's being treated. So daily we must bring in healthy bacteria from the diet. And so whatever is recommended with the white bread and the white rice, this is to calm down the digestive system. And it's very similar to the brat diet that we use with children who had diarrhea. Now the problem is there's little nourishment in white rice and white bread. And the idea is basically to calm down your digestive system. But it's more necessary to add in healthy foods. A better diet would be fermented bread. And I pray God sends someone into your life to give you some sourdough bread that is basically freshly made from milling of their own grains. Then adding in some homemade sauerkraut daily, even if it's just 1 tablespoon. There's a good brand called Bubby's. Then taking some pre, pro, and phytobiotics is going to speed up the recovery. Now, this needs to be done slowly to let the bacteria repopulate the area slowly. And then let that increase over time, because if we populate too quickly, you can have other side effects. So understand there's always going to be a struggle when you're in treatment, especially with radiation and chemotherapy, specifically because of where this treatment is taking place, and it's right directed towards your microbiome. So we have to focus on good bacteria to replenish what's being killed by what's going on. Okay, so next we need to understand that there's another option too we need to look at. Now let me just add, when we aren't eating foods with good bacteria, we can have other side effects such as candida, diarrhea, constipation, we can have thrush in the mouth, we can have rashes, we can have upset stomach. So much can come up just because we're eating white foods, just foods that are stripped of their nutrition, and we're getting the treatments, and there's just a lot going on. It's the same as if you're taking an antibiotic, which they might have prescribed for you as well. The second is we need to eat healing foods. Now I already listed sourdough and fermented foods such as sauerkraut, and you can ferment any foods, but drinking a lot of purified water. Now yogurt can be added, but I suggest really praying for God to send someone along into your life who makes their own yogurt. Many yogurts in the store are void of any good bacteria anymore. Sugary foods that people like to bring to people to feel better, they're so detrimental to someone who's dealing with cancer. Now, there was a lady in our church who loved to visit people who were sick, and I so loved her for doing that, but she would bake the most awful white flour, white sugar, highly sweet desserts to take to them. It was her way of sharing love to these people, but it was the exact opposite of what they needed. It caused more harm than good to their digestive system, which you have to heal from any disease. So recognize, one, we have to have good foods, we have to have good pre and probiotics, and we have to also really just turn this over to the Lord. Remember in Exodus 15:6, it says, I am the Lord who heals you. So seek His word, seek Him daily, sing His praises, pray with a heart of thanksgiving, and I know you probably are, because God heals. But He's also given us His foods to help bring the healing. So as you are completing the treatments, whether it's you or someone else who's watching this video, we have to replenish our diet with good, healthy pre and probiotics. Without that, our digestive system will have a long time in recovery. Now, one of the physicians that I've worked with personally, she says, Annette, you need to understand, because mind you, remember, I've shared my story. We've had cancer in our family. And she says, Annette, it takes 7 years to replenish the body from what the chemo or the radiation has done. 7 years. So you can't say in 6 months, yeah, I've been done with my treatments for 6 months, now I'm just going to eat what I want. No, it takes 7 years to overcome the effect of the chemo and the radiation. Think of it like this, it's like July 4th fireworks in America. You have this beautiful display of these colors, and they're so pretty, and they're so automated now, and such a beautiful display with the music and all that. But when fireworks, if you go to clean up your yard the next day, there's all of this debris and this trash. Yes, chemo is that beautiful display of color to kill the tumor, but then you have the trash from the chemo that your body has to clean up. So we have to have high fiber, good fermented foods, pre, pro, and phytobiotics for 7 years. So you do not have a license to go out to the favorite ice cream shop once you've completed your treatment. And I know some of you are very disappointed for me to tell you that. I can feel it through the video. But I'm serious, because how you live your life is going to be so important to what God wants to do in your life. And this is just something we all have to pay attention to, and just to recognize God is the God who heals, yet He's also given us many foods and just different things that we can add to our diet to enhance and to speed up that recovery. And His Word, speaking His words, is going to be the number one thing you can do. I just want to thank you so much for this question, and I just want to pray right now for you that you, one, have someone come into your life to help make good foods for you so that they taste good and they heal your body, and two, that you recognize God's healing on your body. Now let's get to today's winner. Like I said, we're talking about microbiome. So taking the superfoods, the GBX superfoods, is actually food for the microbiome. So if you're like, Annette, I just can't handle any of the foods that are out there and just not feeling good because of treatments, see if you can get some of this in maybe like a spoonful of yogurt or a spoonful of something smooth and creamy that you enjoy. Okay, I will allow ice cream, just a couple spoonfuls, if this will help you get this down. I really need you to start healing your gut, because if you're doing chemo and radiation, I am not anti any of that, if that's what you've chosen to do. But at the same time, we have to be healing the gut. So I'm giving this away, and the winner today is Twyla. Twyla left a review of one of my books, and we're going to send this out to you. So Twyla, you have 60 days from the posting of this video to send an email to info@thebiblicalnutritionist.com. In the subject line, write winner 116. For the rest of you, don't forget to write a review of one of my books on either Amazon or our website, The Biblical Nutritionist, so you too can win a copy. No, you're not going to win a copy of my book, but you can win a product like the superfoods. Okay, I would love to give this away, but not yet. So I really want you to get this book. It is so full of God's goodness that it's just going to bless your socks off. Thank you for letting me share with you God's recipe for excellent health. I totally am blessed to be able to come to you today and let you know how much God loves you. He's loved you from the moment of conception. You were never an accident. You were planned with a purpose, and He has such a purpose for you that is more than you could ever imagine. Yet, He desires to have a relationship with you that is real and personal, and He invites you to invite Him into your life. Thanks for watching. It is finally here, my latest book, and this is such a treasure. I am so excited about this book. 7 Foods of the Promised Land. Why these 7 foods? Does it really matter? Why didn't He choose broccoli? You know how I teach about that. But no, these 7 foods are so specific. God had a purpose for each one of these foods to be a lesson for us to learn from. The way He shares His love through these 7 foods is incredible. Not only how nutritious they are for us, but how delicious they are for us, and how spiritually encouraging they are for us. I can't wait for you to get your hands on my new book, 7 Foods of the Promised Land. Be sure and check out any of your retailers. It's available everywhere, even on my website. And while you check it out and read this book and enjoy it, be sure and leave a review on Amazon or our website. I'm going to be doing some fun giveaways for people who leave a review. Thanks for watching, and I really want you to check out 7 Foods of the Promised Land.